I'm the nature nerd, and I want to show you how nature engineers, evolves, designs, and survives. And I want to show you just how cool all of that stuff can be. In the last episode, we talked about how communities of organisms interact and work together. But for this last episode in the Nature's Toolbox series, I've saved my two favorite rules for last. And I also think that they're the most useful. The first rule is that in nature, form follows function. This means that any shape you see, any structure or bone or form, is that particular shape because it serves a particular function in that animal's life. Now, this is my collection of oddities. It includes skulls from various animals, antlers, shells, and vertebrae and other bones. And I've collected them because, to me, they are perfect examples of how form follows function in nature. A great example of this is looking at skull morphology of different creatures. The first example is a white-tailed deer. White-tailed deers are herbivores, which means they only eat plants. And they're also herd and prey animals, which means other animals will try to eat them for food. And they display two main characteristics of herbivores. The first is that they have sideways facing eyes. Instead of eyes facing forward like on people, their eyes face to the sides of them. This gives them a huge field of vision for when they're trying to be vigilant and watch out for predators. The second is their teeth. Teeth can tell you a lot about an animal. And for white-tailed deer, you'll notice that they only have molars. This is because herbivores only eat plants, which means that they only need teeth that can grind up tough material in order for them to digest it. A second great example is looking at a carnivore skull. This is a coyote. It's a carnivore, which means that it has the two main carnivore characteristics, which are forward-facing eyes, which let them track their prey as they're hunting or stalking it, and backwards-facing sharp teeth, which act like fish hooks when they're hunting a creature and they grab onto it, which lets them tear meat off and hook into their prey. This wall has tons of different examples, and I'm really excited to show you more in future videos. The second rule is that nature optimizes. Through evolution, nature has found countless ways to solve different problems, and this means that through trial and error and long spans of time, it finds the best ways to do what it's trying to do. A good way to think about this is looking at feathers. We often look at bird wings as a whole to demonstrate how lift works, but I like to look at individual feathers. Feathers are great because they maximize the amount of surface area to allow a bird to fly and push air out of the way, but they also minimize weight. There's a particular design in all feathers that starts with a central stalk and outward protrusions. Those outward feathery protrusions are what create that large surface area to weight, and the stalk gives the feather some rigidity so it doesn't just flop around in the wind. Though if you look at different feathers on different parts of a bird's body, that stiffness varies and the fluffiness varies because those feathers are forming a different function. Flight feathers have to be particularly stiff and allow the bird to fly, but these sort of downy feathers near a bird's core generally act as more of insulation than lift. I could go on and on. There are so many different examples of form follows function and optimized design in nature. And as an engineer and designer myself, I find it incredibly inspiring to be able to walk out into my backyard and find countless examples of natural engineering in practice. Thank you so much for watching this series, and look out for more videos in the future. Stay tuned, I'm the Nature Nerd.